All right, let's see. Am I live yet? Let's see. Okay, yes, I am live. All right, so I'm going to start sharing my screen. And let's share. I know which screen we're going to share. I'll share this screen so that I'm actually looking. Okay. All right. I'm going to make sure I'm live. I know I'm live on Facebook. I don't know if I'm live on Instagram. I should be live. I should be. Oh, no, I wasn't. I wasn't live on Instagram. I made an error where I have to go live on Instagram before I go live on everything else. All right, let's see if it's working now. Hey, Brianna, welcome to my live. I'm going to be going over some live scenarios. I'm mainly focusing on house hacking, but I can go over some DSCRs as well. Really anything. This is a live open office hour where we can really go over anything that you want to go over. And okay, so it looks like I just got Instagram to work. I'm still kind of new to all of this. So I'm still kind of making sure I'm actually live and not just talking to the computer and not live. Yeah, it looks like I'm good. So Brianna, what would you like to see? I'm gonna give you the mic. Would you like to see a house hack? Would you like to see a DSCR? What do y'all want to see? Tell me what y'all want to see. I'm gonna give you like a minute or two. Okay, Brianna wants to see DSCR loan. All right, let's look at a DSCR loan. Can you confirm, please, if you can see my screen? You should be able to. Let me see. Let me know if y'all can see the screen, please. Chat. Oh, okay. Okay. I got it figured out. All right, let's do it. I got the Facebook on one screen, I got the Instagram, and I'm focused here. You guys have my full attention now. I'm still learning, so cut me some slack, please. All right, so let's look at some DSCR loans. And so DSCR really focuses on the rents covering the mortgage. The challenge with the Charlotte market is that the rents don't keep going up as the prices keep going up. So the rental markets that seem to do the best are actually outside of Charlotte. I really like west of Charlotte. I really like Gastonia, Hickory, maybe even north, like Kannapolis, anywhere where you can honestly find properties around 200,000 and they're renting for close to like 1,700. Like you're getting as close to the 1% rule as possible. So let's draw a nice line. So I'm going to circle basically everything that's like within an hour from Charlotte. And then let's look at ideally a 3-2. And let's just do this as if I was looking for something kind of turnkey. So I'm going to go 175K, well, 150K to, it'd be great to be around 250K because your mortgage would be around 2,000. All right. And then to keep this simple, I'm going to remove townhomes because let's just assume we're looking for an investor client and we don't want to deal with HOA. All right. So we've got that. I'm going to do no HOA. And I don't want coming soon. I don't want preview because I want to run actual deals. I'm going to remove this stuff right here. Okay. So we've narrowed it down a little bit. Any other filters that y'all like to see? I'd love to hear from the realtors in the chat. Are there any other filters that you find important? Those are the first ones that come to mind to me is no HOA in case they want to turn it to a short-term rental or rent by the room or just not deal with the extra fees. Any agents have any input on other filters that you like to see? So for the filters, we have a minimum amount of square feet. Maybe some of you know more about square footage of to get a high enough rent. Is there a minimum amount of square feet? I would imagine it would be great to have at least 1,250 square feet. Lot size, I would love, if it's a single family, it would be great to have a little bit of space around the property. But the challenge is, what if you can land a nice multifamily? You might end up filtering that out. And here's my default year built. I had it on here from, I think, the last search I was doing. So I'm just going to put 1980 just to have something that's not too old. Okay, so Mighty Cruz said 3 beds. I have 3 beds here. One question, Mighty Cruz, do you think the rents are as very similar if it's a 1 bed? Well, I mean 1 bathroom or 1.5 bathroom? Obviously, we know value-wise in terms of selling on the market, it's more desirable to have 2, but can you get a much better deal with a 1 bath to where it justifies justifies buying it even if it's worth less because the rents are better? So what I mean by that is, like, if you have a 3-1 versus a 3-2, is the value much lower to where it makes sense for rental, but then the rents are pretty similar, or are they kind of far apart? That's something I'm not 100% sure on. So let me know about the bathrooms. For realtors that are in the chat, I'm not sure of the different. I'll click it, but I'd love to see what y'all think. I would imagine a 1.5 is kind of the minimum because a family can live off of a 1.5, but just a full 1 would be really hard. So I'm going to apply 1.5, and then let's see what other filters we want. Brianna said they're pretty close in price. Okay, so let's see if we can get down to a 1.5. What if we can find a 1.5 that's pretty stinking cheap? Okay, so now I'm gonna try to get even lower. All right, so we still have a lot of properties here, so I want to narrow this down even more. So let's go down to 225. And I'm actually going to redraw this line, and I'm not going to include South Carolina. Why? Because I don't want to pay South Carolina investor tax, because the taxes are a lot higher if you are in South Carolina. I actually went way too wide on it on the left over there. That's hideous. Okay, let me try this again. I'm going to exclude South Carolina because South Carolina taxes are much higher. Okay, that's not pretty, but it'll do the job. So what do we have in here? We're going as west as Gastonia, Lincolnton, Statesville, up into Winston-Salem, Lexington. Yeah, I like this. I like this circle right here. I think that's a pretty good pocket of properties. So now we've narrowed it down to really not that many properties at all. So I don't think it makes a major. People are more open to it if it's a 3-bed. Okay, so Maria Lopez commented on Facebook that she doesn't think it's a major difference, and Mighty Cruz also confirmed 1.5 is preferred. So all the agents are in agreement. So let's run the numbers on this. So we have one that popped up in Albemarle. Oh my, it took away my line. But we had one that popped up in Albemarle, and we had a couple pop up over here. And I'm going to draw my line again because that's kind of annoying. Okay. All right. Oh, wow. Okay. So we've got Albemarle has one. Hickory has one. Wow. Kannapolis in all of this has really nothing. We had to go all the way to Winston you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Hickory's rents might be pushing harder than Winston-Salem's rents. I have a software I'm going to run on a different page to verify these rents, and we'll see which area as of right now seems to be best. So let's just compare 3 areas. Let's compare Hickory, Albemarle, and one of the homes over here. So let's start with Hickory because I'm kind of a fan of Hickory. All right, so we have a modular, so that might rent for less. The condition is pretty good from what it seems to be. Okay, so how much do you guys think the software is going to say that this rents for? I'm going to put it into the software that you don't see on the screen. But what do y'all think 2410 and Wood Court is going to say it rents for? What do you think it would rent for? So it's 1716 square feet, 3-bed, 3-bath, pretty fair condition, 2.12 acres. 2.12 acres. Oh, don't want you to see that yet. So what do we think this is going to rent for? $224,000, modular home, has a good amount of land. Let's look at the description. 3-bed, 3-bath on large 2-acre lot in Newton. Both secondary HUD. So they have the HUD number. Subject to buyer appraisal, property owned by U.S. Department of Housing, Urban Development. So the equal housing. Okay. So what do we think the rent's going to be? Anybody going to guess? 1,700 going once, going 1,700 going once. Anyone else got a guess? I think that's a pretty good guess, honestly. But does anyone else want to see if they can get their guess? closer to what the number says, at least on the software. I'm going to give you guys a minute to guess while I continue. I wish I didn't look at the report myself so I could guess, but now I'm biased. So I already saw how much it is. So I'm not going to guess. I'll guess on the next one. But 229 said apparently the Zillow says 90% chance of winning offer. If I had to guess, I mean, I'm not an agent, but out of what I see from clients, this fits a lot of people's boxes, especially in the Latino community that want something that's pretty turnkey. They don't care if it's a modular home and they want this kind of land. So this makes sense for a lot of people. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reveal what the rent is. So the rent, here's the report. Maria Lopez, you're right. Maria Lopez Smith, you crushed it. It was actually, you were within $54. It comes in at $16.44. So that's pretty darn close. It estimates the value to be around $223, so it's pretty close to the list price, $224. It has pretty high confidence in terms of this. This report says it's 86% confident in that rating. So yeah, really good guess, Maria. Congrats. You know your stuff. And yeah, it shows the list of comparables. So this is data driven. This is not just vibe driven. So great one. So now let's look at the DSCR. So we're going to use 1,700 for rent because I think if you have a good agent, they have the right connections and they could ultimately end up helping you end up in a situation where you could actually maybe get someone to rent it for an extra $50. So let's do a calculator. So let's say someone buys this for $224. We're going to go based off the list price. And they have to put 20% down. So realtors, let's say you're running comps for this for your client. The down payment's $45,000. If it's a DSCR, I like to estimate about 5% of closing costs to be conservative. Now that is negotiable, so you can do the math on, let's say we say it's 11 plus 45. So 11 plus 45 is 56. So 56,000 to buy this property. Now, how much is that mortgage going to be? All right, so let's figure that out. So I'm going to do 224 times 80%. Why am I doing 80%? Because I want to see what the loan amount is after the 20% down payment. So I'm just subtracting it off the top. So the loan amount is going to be $179. Loan amount is going to be $179. All right, and then I'm just going to run an estimate with one of my lenders that I have. I'm going to run it on another screen just so we don't get lost. And I'm just going to run it as an investment purchase, 700 credit score, 20% down, and we're just going to assume that they're not going to buy down the interest rate, 179, 200, just to get ballpark numbers. I'm not going to compare all the lenders like I normally do once a client's pre-approved. I'm just doing whichever one gives me numbers the quickest. So it's estimating about a 6.9 interest rate, which is about 1192. So 1192 of principal and interest. So if we're doing 1192, now I will say it's harder to get a DSCR loan on a manufactured home, but just for the sake of education, we're just running numbers. Let's do 1192, and then homeowners insurance. I tend to see it. I'm giving you my secrets. I'm giving you guys my secrets, but here's my secret. 224. I like to times it by 0.004, so 4%, so 896. So I estimate the insurance to be around $75. So 75 plus, we're at 1192. So mortgage and insurance is 1267. What is the property tax? Property tax is only 1334. So we're at 1267. So I'm going to add that here soon. 1334 divided by 12. It's 111 for taxes a month. So 12 plus 1267. We're looking at a house that the total was about $1,400, roughly. $1,400. So we've got probably around $300 of cash flow if someone was to buy this with 20% down. And if it was a first-time buyer, it's kind of nice to know, hey, if you buy this property, you live in it for maybe a year or two, and you decide to move up into a nicer home later, this could be a good investment property in the long run. And so, does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions on those numbers that I ran? I'm going to hold tight there if all that made sense. So I got the mortgage of around 1197, 92, about 1200. The insurance I calculated around 75, and then the property taxes were about 111. So, and that landed me to around 1378, which was about, we're just calling it $1,400. So Mighty Cruz asked on Facebook, what are the requirements for manufactured? Truthfully, with DSCR loans, I used to have one lender that would lend on manufactured homes, but now I don't have any that are lending on manufactured homes. I actually think, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think this is a modular home, because a modular is site built. This looks like a manufactured because it has a HUD, which makes it like a vehicle. So this is a manufactured. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's modular site built. I don't think they put the right description on the MLS. But to answer your question, Mighty Cruz, this would be best for a first-time buyer. I would prefer to see this for a first-time buyer because it's going to be too challenging to get a DSCR loan. Out of all the lenders I have for DSCR, none of them are lending for manufactured homes right now. So this is actually a better first-time purchase for a buyer, and then a long-term rental for them later on when they decide to move out. Okay, so I like this one. This is a good one I might send this to, actually, no, I had one client that was searching Hickory, but they already went under contract, and they were looking for this exact type of property. All right, let's go to the next one. So I'm going to duplicate this just so I have it handy later. Let's go to the next market. All right, let's go to Albemarle. This is a single family built in 2022. This is the only picture. Realtors, what do y'all think whenever you see something like this? Like, it says single family. It says it's a 2022, but there's only one picture. There's one picture. Let's see what the description says. The auction for this Hubzu property. Oh, so it's an auction. Let's move on from that one because I've tried to be a part of auctions, but then you get upset bids, and it's easy to get outbid even after you think it's yours. All right, let's increase the price a tad bit. Let's go 240. I want to see something down over here. Okay, Conover. I like this. I like that. I like potentially that. Site built. Oh, wow. Very strong. Denton, 235, built in 2000, site built. Good amount of land. Okay. I really like these two. All right, we already showed some love to the west. Let's show some love to the east. So let's run some numbers for this one. Seller concessions with accepted offer. So that's screaming motivated seller. Brianna moved over to Facebook. I love it. I want to be in the chat with the girls. Okay. I love that. Okay, so we're in Denton, and motivated seller, clearly. Have you been searching for slower plays, covered front porch? Okay, we have updated high ticket items, 2019 HVAC, water heater, insulated windows, fenced in backyard, extra driveway poured. This is pretty ideal for a buyer. Let's look at this. Yeah, two lane driveway. Looking at these pictures, it appears to be really well maintained. I really like this for a first-time buyer or an investor. So let's look at, okay, before we get too far, let's all guess the estimated rents. What are the estimated rents for this? So realtors, maybe you know this area, maybe you, let's go to Google Maps and we'll get a little bit more insight. All right, so give you insight on where it is in the map. It's a little out there. It's more out there than I thought. It is more out there than I thought. That makes a lot more sense. It is pretty far from, let's see how close that is to Concord. That's pretty far. That's not ideal. That is pretty far. I did not expect it to be that far. Goodness gracious. That is far, super far. That's so far. Okay, well, for the sake of rental property, let's see if it's let's guess the rents. I don't know that market. This seems a little too updated and a little too good to be true. So I'm not going to give it the highest rents because it's not close to a major economy like Hickory, like Kannapolis. I'm gonna go 1,400. Who wants to give me a guess? Last time Maria got it, I don't know. It's just too far. Call me a city boy, but Maria, it's 51 minutes to Concord. 51 to Concord. And I can get to Concord in 30 minutes. Look, let's put how far it is from Charlotte. That's an hour 11. It's actually pretty similar to Charlotte as it is to Concord. I guess because Concord's out of its way. All right, so we've got Maria said deep Charlotte. It's truly closer to Greensboro, maybe, than Charlotte. Yeah, it's a little closer to Greensboro. It's kind of like that in that awkward middle. I mean, if you really love country living, then it might be something great for somebody. Brianna, do you want to give it a shot? We've got Maricruz, 1,500, Maria, 1,500. I'm going to stick to my 1,400. I just think it's pretty far from everything, but I couldn't be wrong. I'm going to look it up on a separate screen. And let's see what we get. Let's see who wins. Meadowdale Drive. Denton. Okay. Let's check out the report. Let's see if Brianna got a guess. She got a 1450. Oh, Brianna got the sweet spot. Okay, let's see. All right, I've got the report open. Whoa! That is crazy high rent. Maybe there's a shortage of inventory. That's one thing to consider about small towns is that, for example, university area, growing area for equity, but there's so many apartments that the rents are actually not as high as you would think. And I'm from a small town, and I can at least attest sometimes a surprisingly high rent, but it can be because there's not enough inventory. So, wow, this is pretty surprising. Almost 1750 rent. Let me look. Luis said 1300. We're all shocked. We are all shocked. Shocked, super shocked. And it says this with even higher confidence 91% confidence. That's nuts. Maria said people want country living but don't want to go to the outskirts. It's true. I don't know. Okay, let's run DSCR numbers. This one would qualify for DSCR. So realtors, if you want to write this down, I can do this loan. I can do this loan for any investor clients. Easy opportunity to call the investor clients. But let's run the numbers first. So I'm just going to run it at 700 credit score. I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier so you can kind of see how I do it. So we'll start from scratch. We're just going to offer list price just to make it easy. $235,000 times 0.2. So your investor's bringing $47,000 for down payment. It would be good if I had like a notepad. Let me grab a notepad. A sticky note. Sticky. Okay. Now I have my whole personal life on there. Let me do something else. Okay. All right, let me see if it allows me to. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're doing this one. All right, so we're doing 20% down equals. So you have 235 times 20%. That's 47,000. So we're doing 47K. And then 5% closing cost. So we're doing 235 times 5%. It's 11.7K closing cost. So total, let's do 47 plus, just be conservative, plus 12. It's 59,000. Of course, realtors, you're able to negotiate part of the seller credits for lowering the closing cost, but 59K total before concessions. And we saw that this one, they're motivated. So you might even be able to get all of their closing costs covered. Maybe at least half of it. And then we have estimated rents. What was that at? 1756. So we'll just call it 1750, round it to the nearest 50. Alrighty. Purchase price, should have put it up here. All right, so now let's calculate the monthly payment. Monthly payment DSCR loan. So we're gonna do 20% down. So I'm gonna put it into my calculator over here. I need to go back to the calculator. I need 80% loan to value. Where's my calculator? So 235 times 80% loan to value. I need 188. So let's go 188 loan amount. It's pretty close to the other one. It's probably going to be about the same. So I did 700 credit score, 20% down, North Carolina, rents cover the mortgage. it's the same thing. It's only up to $50. So mortgage before escrow is $1,250, and then the homeowner's insurance, I taught you guys my trick. I'll teach it to you again. $235. I times it by 4%, so $940. So $940. I'll divide the total here soon for the insurance. Let me find these taxes very quickly. Taxes $1,823. So $1,823. All right, so we're going to divide both of these by 12. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to do it over here on my calculator. I still have my middle school calculator, by the way. I literally had this calculator since 6th grade. I had my name on it, but I've had it so long, it's actually worn off. All right, so $940 divided by 12, $78. And then the taxes divided by 12, $1,823. $152. So let's add these up. $1,250 plus 78 plus 152, $1,480. Yeah, these calculators are legendary. So our total payments $1,480. $1,480, and the rents are $1,750. So how do we calculate this DSCR? $1,750. All I got to do is $1,750. The rents divided by the mortgage, $1,480. 1.182 DSCR. It is hard to find, oftentimes, a cash flowing property at just 20% down. And I just found you guys one right now. And I think this would be a great one for an agent. You've got a motivated seller, probably not going to have a headache with inspections. It's in a good rental area. It's updated. ROI for the investor. They're probably not going to have to invest much in big ticket items. And they're looking at, with what's that total cash flow? 1,750 minus 1,480. What was that? 14. We're looking at $270 of cash flow a month. So not bad. Not bad. What do y'all think, agents, realtors? I'm putting this into ChatGPT. All right, so I use chat to help me, and look how you could sell this to your investment client. Bam. So I just cleaned it up. Purchase price $235. Maybe I should make this a little bigger. It's kind of small. Can y'all see this? Hopefully you can. Can I make this bigger? I hope you can see it. Oh, anyways. Hey, y'all are on the live, so y'all get free game. Y'all get free game, but I'll send this to you. If you want this, I'm going to send this to the agents that tuned in. So I'm going to send it Maria, Brianna, Maricruz, and may the quickest agent win to get it under contract, I guess. And so, because thank you for tuning in and your loyalty. And it could also be a good house hack if you have a client that's willing to live out, not house hack, a good first time purchase if you have a client willing to live out there. I just don't know many people out there. But anyways, let's look at these numbers. So we've got the DSCR of 1.182. We've got the cash flow of 270. And so annual cash flow 3240. And chat calculated the cash on cash return. So basically, how much you make a year divided by how much total investment. And it's a 5.5% cash on cash return. So you can calculate that right there. Whenever you're speaking to maybe more sophisticated investor clients, they may ask that question. Now, if you can get these closing costs covered, let's imagine you can get the closing costs covered. And it's just 47,000. So I'm going to ask chat over here, what about if it's just 47K and all closing costs are covered by the seller? What is the cash on cash return? So I guess I'll share this with you guys so you can kind of see what I'm typing. And this is a way that you agents can kind of explain things to your clients a little bit easier. So now we've got a 6.9% return. So the math was pretty simple. It's just the total investment divided by the annual income. And now you just jumped from 5.5% return to 6.9. And what's really cool about that is a lot of people are going to compare real estate to the stock market. And if you can start getting close to the stock market where it's close to like 7 to 10% annual return, then you make a compelling case. But what the stock market won't have is all the leverage, because they're going to be growing in terms of equity. So now you can also add in there how much the home is expected to appreciate. Or I can help you do it, because I can help with that. In terms of like doing some of the math, I would just need you to tell me how much the appreciation is. So let me go back to Facebook and see what y'all think. I was supposed to just do this for an hour, but I can hop on and stay here a little longer. I'd love to. I'm very actually excited about this one. That was a pretty good one. So I'm going to save this here. I like that one. I'll do one more since you guys are being very engaging and I'm not here solo. Okay. There was one more. Where was it? I don't see it anymore. Oh, it's right here. All right, let's look at this one. This is the last one, and then I will go. So let's look at this one. Modular. Notice how this one looks different than this one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this looks more like a true modular. Modular, to me, is site built. So they bring the materials there and it's built there. I mean, I could be fooled. Could be that I'm incorrect, but it looks pretty good. Now I've got some wheelchair ramps there, so that gives you a hint that it's probably an elderly family. All right, so let's play the game again. Newton, 3-bed, 2 baths, 1,296 square feet, 2004, even newer than the other one. Newton, I would probably, at least I know there's more growth happening in Hickory. I don't know anything about Denton. And then you have a good amount of land, low maintenance. Doesn't say anything about the high ticket items here like the other one, but Zillow's algorithm says it's likely to sell 99% quicker than other properties. So let's play the game. How much does this rent for? And then after this, we'll call it a day. But let's play one more. How much does this rent for? And let's put it in Google Maps. Let's see how far it is from Charlotte. This is 52 minutes from Charlotte. What's neat though is it's not that far from Huntersville. Yeah, it's still similar, 46. Now this is closer to Hickory, and there's some stuff going on over there. Some development. Yeah, 22 minutes from a pretty, at least a city that has some amenities. So how much does it rent for? All right, Brianna coming in strong with 1,800. Mighty Cruz, I think you meant to do 1,800 or 18 or maybe 1,800 and $1 if you were trolling Brianna. Okay. I'm going to type it in. Anybody else that wants to put a guess in? Okay, can I go back to the house? Yes, I can. It is this house. I will leave it here. Let me zoom out so you can see a little more. I'm going to leave it here while Maria guesses. So I'll give her a chance to guess. Okay, let me make sure she guesses before I click. All right, we've got 1,700, 1,800, 1,800. All right, let me put my guess in there. I'm going to go 1,800 as well. 22 minutes. Yeah, 1,800. I think we're all pretty close. Let's see. Denton so far is the wow factor, so the shocking one. I think we'll probably be closer on this one. All right, so let's see what we got. Okay, Maria was the closest, 1,678. So we don't even need to get too far into it. Based off of rents, pure rents, this one would likely provide a higher cash-on-cash return than this one. But now we all know, agents especially, that rents are one thing and then appreciation is another thing. So this is where you'd be able to talk to your investor, and maybe Newton has higher appreciation. I would think so. I'm not an expert in that area, but that's something that you could consider. So this is where Newton is, Maria. It is near Hickory. It's 22 minutes from Hickory. It's like kind of like you go past Denver, and it's about like another 30 minutes past Denver. So let's put how far Denver is. Yeah, it's about 25 minutes from Denver. So let's put Huntersville because that's kind of like the closest. Oh, oops. Oh, I've typed in Denton again. Sorry. All right, so that is where the property is. Yeah, this one's far as well, but Hickory's growing very fast, so that's why I think I was thinking the rent would be a little higher. But it's interesting because even if it's close to a growing city, it's like inventory is interestingly more important, it seems like, for rentals. So based off of this one, these two, for pure cash flow, this one's winning is what it looks like because the rents are higher. We had the rents are almost $100 higher. It's about $1,750. This one $75 higher, and the prices are very similar. Now, where the investor, if they really want to be in, if they don't care about the location and they just want pure cash flow, this one in sorry, I keep going back. Denton would be better, but Newton might provide better cash flow. So let's ask our friend. Let's ask our friend Claude. I'm going to use a Claude entry for you guys. Which they have an indoor soccer. I've been playing. Hispanic community is growing in Newton in construction. Yeah, I agree, Brianna. I know I have clients and investors that are in that market, and that's why I'm saying that. Which city is appreciating more for real estate? Newton, North Carolina, or Denton, North Carolina? Oh, you played there before. Oh, cool. My girlfriend plays as well. We played Friday, and I'm so sore. We played at Strikers in Indian Trail, and I'm very sore. I know I could use more girls on the team when we go play, so it'd be nice to give my girlfriend not being the only girl. If you ever wanted to join us, Maria and I love Claude. Claude is our bestie. All right, let's let Claude cook while we wait. I love guessing, as you probably can tell already. So let's guess appreciation. First, who do we think is going to win? Is it going to be Newton or is it going to be Denton? I'm going to guess Newton. I'm biased. And I'm going to say 2% higher appreciation. That's my guess. I might be wrong. I just don't know anything about Newton. So if you're from Newton or you're anything related to Newton, I apologize. I'm ignorant to Newton. So I'm going with the data that I know. Okay, Brianna said Newton. I'm going to give a minute for everyone else to vote. Okay, we might be going this week, Brianna, so I'll let you know. It probably will be Wednesday or Friday. I want to keep forcing myself to go because it's good for my knee, because I tore my ACL, and the sedentary life's gotten really used to sitting and weightlifting and not like running and movement. And I've noticed the body needs the movement. All right, so we're gonna go here because I gave you guys a minute. Newton, according to Zillow's home value index, put appreciation at 6.1% over the past year. Denton, which is Davidson County, doesn't have as clean of data. Jamila said Newton as well. Welcome, Jamila. Bottom line, Newton has a clear apples to apples appreciation number, 6.1% year over year. So if you're talking to your investor about Newton, you could say, hey, if history repeats itself, 235,000, let's be conservative. If it goes up 5%, yes, your property is going to cash flow $75 less, but you would have an estimated $11,000 of appreciation in just 1 year, which is actually worth more than the cash flow, but it's not guaranteed. So that's the way I would speak to the investor if it was me, or if you as the realtor want me to run some numbers for you, because obviously it would be hard to calculate this if we didn't know the cash flow. And how we know the cash flow? We got to know the payment. And so you could go back to your client, and most agents are not going over numbers like this for their investor clients. And so I personally, now that we saw the year over year number, although that rent was very high for Denton, I'll probably go Newton. Which property would y'all go for? Would you go for where's my notepad? So many tabs. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. So would you guys go for the... Would you guys go for this one or this one? This one's $11,000 more. The mortgage is not going to be that much more. It's going to be... I'm going to put it in here. 235. Wait, they're both 235. Oh, they're both the same price. So the monthly payment on the mortgage is the same. The taxes might be a little different. $1,593 in Newton. They're cheap. The taxes are even cheaper in Newton because it's not Davidson County. So your payment is actually going to be lower by a little bit in Newton. You still might have a tad bit more cash flow in Denton, but which one are y'all going for? Brianna says she's going for Newton. I'm going Newton too because I like appreciation personally. I mean, cash flow, if it's high enough, I would go for the cash flow, but they're pretty close here to where they're within probably $50 to $75 from each other. So it's not enough for me to go for the lower appreciating market. So I would go Newton on this one. So here's what I'll do as a gift to all the agents that came. I'll run the numbers for Newton right now, and I'm going to send it out to all of you. So we've got this one. So here's a Newton. All right, so we're going to do, I'm just going to really copy this because this is the same. The rents were $1,678. I'm going to be fair and put what it is, even though I think you could get $1,700 pretty easily. Round it up to the nearest 50th. I'm going 1,700. I just know Newton has such a strong rental market. I'm putting 1,700. Let me go back here. HOI is the same. The only thing that's going to be different is the taxes. So for the taxes, I'm just going to put that in here, which was $1,593. So about $400 lower, $1,593. So I'm going to do that here for the sake of speed. $1,593 divided by 12 is $132. So we're about $20 lower on taxes a month. So let's do $1,250 plus 78 plus 132 equals $1,460. So we're going to do 1,700 minus 1,460, $240 of cash flow. And what was the other one? 270. So I was about right. It was not going to be more than $50 of cash flow. So I'd rather lose the $30 of cash flow and have the higher appreciating market. So I'm going to send this out to each one of you that are in here. So Brianna, Maria, Jamila, and Mari Cruz. Anybody else that has not commented that wants this information, I will send it to you after this call. Make your comments before we end. That's the last property I'm analyzing. Do you guys or girls, do you girls have any questions, or somebody that's secretly watching? Do you want this information, or do you have any comments or questions? This is pretty fun. I like this. Thanks for joining me on the Mortgage Monday. This is fun. It's cool because it's not common where I get to run scenarios, unless it's where me and a specific agent or client are reviewing a property. So it's kind of cool to do it, and you can see it live and see the thought process behind it. Thank yous. Thank yous. Thank yous. Thank yous. Awesome. Well, the real ones have spoken. So I'll send it to y'all four on Facebook. And if you want to talk about it after, let me see if I have a call after this. I'm on another screen, so give me a second. Okay, my first client call is at 3, and after that, I'm pretty full. So if y'all want to talk about anything, let me know. I'm going to send it to you, and I'm going to get back to work because I probably have a bunch of emails and messages because I'm on Do Not Disturb right now because I can't multitask. All right, well, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to send this to you guys, or girls. I'm going to send it to you girls, and we'll talk later. Thanks for joining and tuning in. Ending the stream. 3, 2, 1.